with these connections that is moving beyond what the avatar does not like or likes. There's something else with this connection that is happening that is allowing us to move past the limitations that we have found in our flesh avatars. And I am so freaking excited for it. I am so excited for it because it is time. It's like the birthing event happened. We've been in the squeeze. We were in that birth canal spiritually, and it kept getting, that we had to go through the head coming out the crown, and then we had to really go through the pain and suffering of the shoulders. And it was like as soon as the shoulders came through, the baby slid out. Haliva. So, Anana. There's a couple things I want to talk about this morning. There's going to be another session that we will be discussing another term other than Anana, because it's important for us to recognize that there are two things that are going on simultaneously right now that is so freaking like amazing. If we can truly grasp a hold of them and pull it down into our intimate knowing, everything will be different. Like literally everything can be turned just like that. All the shadow can be gone instantaneously. For some of us, it took a long journey of sweeping it out, the laborious effects of turning our shadow and a lot of pain and suffering through that. But we are now in the stage and the day of the instantaneous turn. Those who showed up as the workers that came and get the same reward, and they showed up at the last moment. They get the same exact reward. We are there now. We are there now. Let me say that one more time. We are there now. I say this because if you don't feel like this has happened to you, if this moment didn't cause a great change and transformation in you, guess what? It doesn't matter, because the ministers who were the first of the first fruits have now been released to go about and do what they've been called to do, which is helping the rest turn rapidly. The laying on of hands is to dispel the darkness of the ego. So let me back up because I'm feeling this very strongly. I didn't understand what was going on with me for like the last year, literally the last year, intensely so, that every time we would have Schumann resonance spikes, KP index spikes, all of these things, I kept saying, I'm walking around feeling like a drunken sailor. I felt like I was on drugs and I didn't understand. I'm like, God, it's hard to function. Well, yesterday, as I was meditating, when I wasn't talking to Rick and when I was looking at all the Anana verses, because we had multiple conversations yesterday as we were just, rattling ourselves through this birthing event, I was really pushing in to understand what happened over the last year, specifically with all these crazy energies that we experienced. And I got this strong impression that we were all experiencing like the effects of psilocybin. Now, the reason why is because psilocybin, when it's taken at a hero's dose, removes the illusion of the ego. So one can experience what is real and what is true of the essence of who we are as Anana. It displaces all the illusion. And so when I was saying to myself, God, I feel like I'm on drugs. I feel like I'm on drugs. There was this frequency that was being released that was very akin to psilocybin effects, that it was just stripping away the illusion, just stripping it away in a course in time that I can handle. Instead of the instantaneous hero's dose of a big psilocybin moment with these frequencies, I was gradually acclimating and I was, so I could still function, but that's what it felt like. And that's what I really felt in my spirit. The last year was all about. So those of us who have had a hard time functioning, there was movements that were happening where the earth and all the energy was pushing us into this grand event. And it made a whole lot of sense. And also why people who have had psilocybin moments that have gotten outside of the illusionary self have had such incredible rapid transformations, because they could tap into Anana. That is what we're going to discuss today. The second element that I'm just going to briefly talk about, Ken brought it up to me this morning, and it's going to deserve another conversation about it, because it is called the Anachna. You would know this if you look in translation works in English, the word we. And it's kind of like all of those verses. I don't know if you guys were this way, but I would always read verses and it would say, and we would, and we say, and we. And I'm like, how do the we collectively talk like one unit? Like, it didn't make sense to me. And we say this, and we respond this way. It didn't make sense the way it was translated in English, unless you see the word Anachnu. And Anachnu is a collective. And what's happening right now is we are creating, and we have been creating all along, we're just now fully tapping into it. We are creating and walking into the conscious collective. The conscious collective, not the collective conscious, because that's really the collective subconscious levels of those who are still sleeping, but are ruled by those subconscious things. What we are creating, have created, and step not into is the Anachnu, the collective that is conscious.
Can I say it in one word?
Yeah.
In the narrative of the vibration that most people would associate it to, it's where we get the voice of many waters. And so think of God as a vibration that when it's speaking, it speaks as the vibration of, it sounds like it's almost confusion, but it's the assembly of many voices that speak of one. And so hopefully we're not going to go much into depth about this, because it was interesting that Carrie brought this forward and I was working on this separately. But sovereignty knows how to connect with what Carrie's about to bring forth. Is Anana, that's the sovereign stand of individual, but what's coming in is never really happened before, the capacity that's happened. So we are hearing many sovereigns speak as individual, but make no mistake, they're speaking as Anachnu, as the collective, as a voice of many waters, thunder, waterfall, that vibration, but they're conclusive in their own assembly as one individual sovereign. But they will be saying the exact same thing in the earth right now, regardless if they're in Australia or they're in the Americas, that they will be bringing the exact same message forward, and that's how we're going to know who they are. The Anachnu.
I'm writing it on the board. So this, normally this is the group tutoring session. So those that are in here usually know or do know the letters. So those of you who don't know the letters, just listen to the vibration. Don't get hung up on the words or the letters on the board. But those of you who are, this is important for us to distinguish the difference between the Anachnu and the Anachna. Anachnu is the word that is, that the Anachna is many times translated as. And I brought in the other day, and I can't even remember what session, because I swear everything is just blending into one and I can't distinguish the days from the days. Anyway, it's a very strange anomaly going on. But I was mentioning about the energy in ancient Egypt, about the new, the primordial creative energy that you could consider chaos, but it's not really chaos. It's raw energy in its form. It's the creator essence of the consciousness that hasn't manifested yet. But it make no mistake. It is an energy swirl vortex that is waiting to be utilized through projection in order to create. And that's called the new. The netters were those that were in ancient Egypt that knew how to operate and function utilizing the new. And they were also considered and brought into what was called the noon, vav, noon. I know you have something to say.
I was just going to say, well,
yeah,
I know, but this is also connected to the Benu.
Right. So noon is how you spell the symbol this of the symbol, but it's noon, vav, noon, and it's symbolized as this. What we were told this symbol was is not what we were told that it really was. It's something completely different than that. The noon, the fish, were those who understood the new and could operate utilizing the new. They were the magicians, Yod He Shin Vav He, for those of you who've been following what I've been saying for a while and can. That was the symbol. And so when they would come across each other, they would complete it. One would draw one circle, the other one would draw the other, and they were able to be like spies in the land, communicating with one another without selling themselves out for others to know who they were. That's where that fish sign came from. It was a communication when there was a clamp down on those who were part of this movement And this is why Anana is so important, and we're going to get there. But this was the symbol of those who were operating in the Anana, in that energy that knew what the new was, Nu, Nun Vav, because they were the magicians. And it's interesting to note, it had to be clamped down, because really what was going on, it was this rebellion that was happening. And because this rebellion was happening in a way where they weren't fighting with swords or rocks, at the time, it was like this movement that was crushing everything in its sight that opposed it, because it couldn't be stopped. So Rome had to put a stop to it, because the teachings of Yahshua were so powerful that this new government was resting on their shoulders and was rising them up and raising them up into a level of authority that the synagogues could no longer control them, and Rome could no longer control them, because they understood the power of Anana. They understood the power of Anana. So when we come together as the conscious collective that is awake and aware, we work in this energy as the Anachnu. I would say the Anachnu, the we, are the magicians.
Absolutely.
They are the magicians. They're called the Anachnu. In Aramaic, it's the Anachna. The Anachna. So you can see the difference, starting with, this is what's so freaking amazing. I'm going to have champagne all over today. If you guys can't handle it, I'm not going to apologize. You might want to turn your volume down, but I am a champagne girl and I love to bubble all over because it just feels so good. It's the little kid in the candy store and I'm jumping up and down going, oh my gosh, look, 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 look. What can I have today? That's what I'm doing right now. And I got goosebumps all over me as I'm saying it, and I'm not going to apologize. So, Ken's more of the calm variety. I'm not. I'm the spaz of the group, and I'm okay with my spastic side. I've made peace with that. Right in the middle of Anachnu or Anachna is the two letters that form the word rest. Rest. You enter into the state of rest when you are part of the collective consciousness that is the conscious collective. Why is this so important? Because when we enter into this place, we are actually operating in the the na as well. We beseech thee. This is why this word is so powerful. We beseech thee. There's like a prayer in the energetic signature that is going out, that is declaring, we beseech thee. All have the quickening seed of life that brings us back into union, back into the collective that is now unified and no longer separated. What am I saying?
Lineage of line.
Ken calls it the lineage of line. It is the quickening seed that is calling out to others to rise up into the heavens.
Legacy.
The heavens are a vibrational frequency that we are moving up into. It's a perspective that changes. Our consciousness expands outside of the avatar, which allows us to intermingle our light, our Merkabahs with one another, giving us access to all information. This is when telepathy comes online, like getting to know one another in an intimate level without having any words get in the way. Oh my gosh. This is the birthing of Anachnu, Anachna in this day and age. And we would call this, if you want to connect to it, heavenly earth. In Genesis 1:1, it said the heaven and the earth were created, but it was separated by a vav. It means they weren't connected. What we are doing now is we're moving into it where they are connected. They are now unified as one, and we are walking in the fruits of that labor. And those that aren't vibrating, the workers that have become this, have the ability in their hands through light photon energy to lay hands on others and bring them up into the knowledge, into that place, so that they can have an instantaneous psilocybin effect that will take away all the illusion and show them who they are. Anana. But these are the workers that are walking and doing this as a collective. Are you guys following me? Are you guys following me?
This is happening right now.
This is the energy that came in at the solstice, Equinox. Solstice is the light and the dark. In the equinox that we are in right now, this is the energy that is now fully present. It was like I feel inside this morning, I woke up and I felt like this. I can breathe. I'm not constricted. That's what it felt like when I woke up this morning. And it felt like yesterday was that excitement right before the orgasmic explosion. I'm telling it like it is. That's what it felt like yesterday. That's what the energy felt like. And it was like this, all this good bliss. And this morning it was the release. Oh, thank God. I just got goosebumps when I said that. So let me show you why this is important and what the Anachna is through the letters. And then we're going to move to the Anana. When we remove peace out of here, I'm not saying that the peace isn't there, but I want to show you why it's the collective. So anybody who is a student of the law of one, Ra would say the social memory complex. So if any of you guys know that, this is the social memory complex. Here's Ana. This is the word for I. The social memory complex operating as a we are those who have entered into the state of rest. They aren't striving to become anything anymore. They are Anana. But this is how we work collectively. So without that, you just have the I. You have the Ana. Anana is this. It's represented when it's written as two words. It's Ana, Ana, but it's pronounced Anana. Now, when the translators, when we were translating the writings hundreds and hundreds of years ago, we had no idea what to do with this. So we would simply translate it just as I. But it's I. That doesn't conform to English. So they would literally get rid of the second I and they would just translate it. But I'm going to show you today why this is so freaking important for us to understand Ana and Anana, because it changes the entire scriptures in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It's only used once in the book of Acts and twice in the book of Revelation. It is not used in any of the Pauline letters. None. It's not mentioned once in the writings of Paul. I have to sit with that myself because there's a lot of wisdom that Paul writes, but Paul never, ever wrote about Anana. And this is why when Paul's writings kept diminishing himself, like when he first came on before he had his road to Emmaus experience, and he was, the Pharisees of all Pharisees and the Greek, he was full of pride. And every time he was writing these epistles, he was bringing himself down into more humility and more humility and more humility and more humility. But right now, I can see that he was teaching of things that he didn't experience himself. He didn't really know what Anana was because he'd never fully embodied Anana. His whole writings was his searching to find Anana. And he didn't write about it because he never fully comprehended it, because he was so bound in the legalism that he was trying so hard to get all of that out, but he never fully found Anana. That's why we don't hear about it.
It's also a perfect mirror that reflects beginning and end and end and beginning.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter which way you look at this as a mirror.
It's the same.
Yeah, this is exactly the season. Like we are all gathering relative perspective, our I and our I, but this as a conclusion is there is no beginning and there is no end in the reflection of this mirror. It is fully encompassed. And it doesn't matter. It's complete. It's absolute. It's conclusion.
From the inside out or the outside in, from the right to the left, it's the same.
Same thing.
It's a palindrome. Palindrome? Is that what they call those palindromes, where there's the same one way or the other?
Yeah.
But it's also the same from the inside out. So it's more than a palindrome because it's the same from the inside out. And there are 4 Alephs. Why is that important? How many of you guys have been hearing me talk about the quadrated ones? Some of you know that I've been talking about the quadrated ones. We've been talking about it on Wednesday's teachings with the Dalit. The quadrated ones, you would know, is the 144,000. There are 4 Alephs in Anana. Think it's a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. Okay, let's go and start taking. You guys want to see where the verses are that Anana thrives in and lives in? Do you want to see them? Because I'm telling you, it is going to change your perspective. OMG. Blew my mind. I was so off the charts yesterday, man. I'm sure if they had a picture from space up higher, there was probably light and popcorn and confetti coming all out from the roof of my house yesterday, as seen from above. I am sure of it. I know, because I know what I was experiencing. I'm experiencing it right now, and I'm trembling as I'm speaking. It's like, oh gosh, this is just crazy, amazing stuff. Okay. How many of you watched the video that I posted yesterday about the light language? If you haven't watched that, I really suggest that you watch that if you haven't seen it. Because I was thinking about playing it before, but it's just, I don't want to take the time. I want to dig into the verses. But she had said something. Let me stop this real quick. She was mentioning about ancient Egypt and the Enochian traditions of those that were working with the flame language, the flame letters, and she specifically mentioned Hebrew and Aramaic. Now, I am going to give Pamela Phillips credit for this. I'm so happy to have her back. She sent me this video back in June, but I didn't see it in June. I saw it yesterday. OMG. I wasn't meant to see it in June. I was meant to see it yesterday. And all of a sudden, everything fell into place because the flame language, the letters of light, literally have scalar energy in it. Scalar energy unlocks the codons in our DNA, allowing us to experience higher expressions, bring us into higher expansion in consciousness in different levels. Like to shoot us to the next octave. Here we go. The first time that we see Anana is in Mathew 14:27. But Yahshua at once spoke to them and said, "Take courage, I am, fear not." This is, if you guys want to know background on this one, is when the storm was happening and they were in the boat, and it was that occurrence where they said they saw him walking on water, like walking like a ghost. And they were freaking out. Is it him? Is it a ghost? What is it? And he said, I am. He said, Anana, fear not. That just gave me goosebumps talking about that. That's the very first time we see Anana in the New Testament. So if you've ever wondered what was going on in some of these verses, you're going to have a whole lot more clarity by the time we get done when you see these occurrences. A whole lot more clarity. Next time we see it. Mathew 22, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. But Eloah is not of those who are dead, but of those who are alive. Anana, the God of Abraham. Anana, the God of Isaac. Anana, the God of Jacob. And it's very interesting that every single one of these, in front of their name, the Dalit was present. The Dalit was present. Do you think there's a strong reason why I'm doing the Dalit right now, that we're finding ourselves on the Dalit? Because it is definitely connected to Anana. You're going to see this as we go a little bit further. Because the Dalit is known as the door. So Anana is the God of the living, not the God of the dead. Keep following along here. For many have come in my name and will say, I am the Mashiach, and many will be deceived. I broke this one down because I want you guys to see something here, because that is not what this verse is saying. Again, as we translated it, if one did not have the idea of what Anana is, you would have to choose something based upon the perception that you had in the moment. Anana is very mysterious. If you want to know what Anana is, those of you who've been following my Wednesday teachings, the mystery of all mysteries, not just the Sod level, but the mystery of all mysteries, which is the 5th level, that cannot be taught. It can only be understood in a level of intimate knowing. That is Anana. But you have to drill all the way down into the mysterious side in order to find Anana, because once you find Anana, you embrace it. That which you have been looking for is that which has been doing the looking. St. Francis of Assisi said that. That is Anana. So this really should have said, many have forgotten and wandered. Many have forgotten and wandered. It's not many will be deceived. That was just one way of saying it. And many have forgotten, many have erred, many have been astray, and many have been deluded. What is the strong delusion? Believing that we are something that we are not. That's the strong delusion. The egoic self was the strong delusion that was sent to make us believe that we were separated from the one. And when you realize that you are that which you have been looking for, you've arrived at Anana. You guys following me? I hope you are. Mark 6:50. For all saw him, were afraid, and he immediately spoke to them and said to them, take heart, I am, fear not. Again, there's the Anana. Now notice, the reason why I brought up that video, if you had watched it this morning, Aleph Tav is added in front of the word for heart, translated as courage. Aleph Tav, the sacred languages, from the Aleph through the Tav is for the heart, Labab, in order for Anana to come online. And when it says to not be afraid, those who fear are those who are in this position of the low, which doesn't necessarily mean not. It just means you need to learn the way of one. That's why you fear. Do you guys see that? Let me make this a little bit larger. This was one I missed on trying to get set up. Here's our word for fear. Dalet chet lamed. Chet lamed is a shortened form of a word that means to pierce. The door that you must go through that will pierce you. Fear will keep us from going through the door. It's called arrogance. It's called pride. Those of you who've been following me on my Wednesday teachings, I've been talking all about the Dalet. You know what I'm talking about here. So those who are in that fear position are actually in the prideful position. They didn't go through the door to get pierced. And if they don't do that, they can't find Anana, which is their absolute state. There's a whole lot here. I'm going to make this document available to everyone. Doesn't matter what level you're on. I'm going to make this available for everyone. So those of you who have been working in the languages, you can go in here and work on your own time, in your own space, if you want to break down and look at these verses on your own. But I'm going to give it to everybody so that you can meditate upon these things. Mark 12:26. But concerning the dead, that they rise, have you not read in the book of Moses, how from the bush God said to him, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. I am Anana. Anana, and here's our word for God. Why is that important? Because God is the singular form of a strong leader, teaching shepherd that is revealing that which has been hidden. Anana. I'm going to stop right here and say something before we go on. Anana is your etheric body of your absolute state of being that is being projected into the lower realms to have this experience. Nothing can happen to Anana. Nothing. Nothing can kill Anana. Nothing can separate Anana. Nothing has ever been done to Anana in this realm. There's projections. We live in this body. We live in Westworld. We live in Westworld. We're all going about in our programs. But Anana, the real you, cannot be touched. It has never been touched. It is pure and innocent. It only came in to have an experience in a flesh avatar body that then was given an ego to operate as the illusion of the separated self. Rick has been saying this many times. Ken has been saying this in different vernacular. I've been saying this, and Nana declares it. I'm going to continue going on. Rick, will you do me a favor? Will you moderate for me the chat room? So if there are questions, because when I start, I can't pay attention to the chat room when I'm sharing. So if there's things, then there's questions, will you raise your hand and let me know so that I don't bypass them? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I should have done that a long time ago, because I don't like not answering questions if there's a question that needs to be answered, because I really want us to be able to attach to this today of who we really are. So Qum is the rising or the establishing. Qumran, those who were the established. The Qumran community knew about Anana. They knew about Anana, because this is where Yeshua learned about Anana himself and why he was able to go back to his people from the Qumran and begin speaking to them, because they were all learning in Greek, because the key to this was the Hebrew and the Aramaic language. Not going to go into that any deeper. Okay, I didn't highlight this one. Mark 14:62. We have, and he, Yeshua, said to him, I am Anana. You shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming upon the clouds of heaven. Man, I'm telling you guys, there are some of these verses that I can't wait to just dive into because of what it is saying. But again, this is where Anana is showing up. Luke 1:19. Now we're moving into Luke. Luke 1:19. Here we go. And the angel answered him, I am Gabriel. You have heard us talk about the Malakah, the messengers, the angels. Anybody that is a Malakah that has moved into the seraphic realm is Anana. When you have embodied Anana and you are intimately aware of Anana and you are functioning as Anana in an avatar body, you are a messenger. You are a messenger. This messenger's name is Gabriel. Entertaining angels unaware, please connect that. Anana, I have been sent to speak with thee and announce these things. Right here is the word shalach. Shalach was translated many times as apostle. It means a sent one that is a messenger. Shin lamed het is the root. Look at this. The aleph has been added to the front of it. Obviously, Anana with the aleph. So the mission was sent by the aleph, the monad, the infinite, the one infinite creator that we all are. And it was a mission for a messenger to project itself within this density to proclaim Anana. And to distinguish the difference between the Ana, the I, or the I within the I that is speaking. Because there is a vast difference between when the ego speaks at I, or when the Anana is speaking through the avatar. And I know that many of you know this because there's a frequency that changes. The throat chakra opens up and authority comes out. Gabriel was walking in authority. Gabar means a mighty man. And then when it's standing before look at this. Remember in the verse before I showed you Qum? Now this is with the aleph on the inside. This is the third stage of recognizing our divinity when the aleph comes online, because when the aleph comes online on the inside, you then can embody Anana and be walking as Anana in the earth again. Rise, stand, and establish. That's what Qum is. There's something here with Basora, but I'm not going to go into that because I want to keep rocking through this. Now, Luke 21:8. But he said to them, I crossed out the word beware because the translators added this in. The translators added beware in this. I'm bringing this forward so you can sweep out some of the indoctrinations that you've received. Because the writers, the translators threw this word in, and it is nowhere in here. Beware lest you be seduced. Seduced. Let's take a look at this. This goes back to the same word. And there's a question presented. This is where sometimes I get a little riled up on the inside going, oh, but it's okay because we weren't able to see it before. We can see this now. There was a question. There's a question that was being presented. Why? Why err? Why be led astray? Why wander? Why forget? Why forget? You are Anana. Where's our wa? Mar, Anana, Mashika, Ziva, Karab. Where is our Y? Right here. The Y is right there. Why err? Why wander? And why forget? Can you see how different this verse could have been translated? And then it says, many will come and in my name and say, I am the Mashika. And the time hath drawn nigh, but go not after them. This verse should have been translated. It should have been translated as the time is not now, but go after them. Can you hear the difference of that verse? We were told that when many would say, the Christ is here, the Christ is here, don't go after them because you're in deception. And that verse should have been translated to saying, this is a time that is yet to come. Go after them. When they say that they are the Mashika, Anana Mashika, go after them because they understand. They took the word time also means opportunity. The opportunity will come when Anana is received once again in the earth and the Mashikas are here, go after them. And the translators back when we translated it 100 years ago didn't know what to do with this. The church didn't know what to do with this. And they certainly still wanted to operate in control and manipulation. So let's insert fear because it is fear that keeps you away from Anana. Fear is attached to the ego. Fear is only part of these lower densities and these lower realms that is operating, keeping us away from Anana and keeping us locked down in our egoic nature. So when you begin hearing the Mashika is here, if that is a vibration that you haven't embodied yet because you're still operating in the shadow side of the ego and you need help and you need assistance, follow after them because they will teach you the way, the truth, and the life. Oh, I get fired up on this stuff because it's just like, this is the true gospel that is finally and now being able to be heard. Finally is now being able to be heard for those who would have the eyes to see and the ears to hear this truth and truly be set free. Go after them. So Yeshua was saying that time is not now, but when it is, go after them. Why be deceived any longer? Why wander any longer? Why err any longer? Moving on, Luke 22:70. Then said they all, thou art then the son of Eloah? And Yeshua said to them, you say, I am. Pause, pause, pause. Antoon. This is a very, very big word. This is a huge word, and we blow right past it because this one is a word that would be you, but it's the Antoon. This isn't ata, this is Antoon. Antoon is the collective. So the Anachna, the Antoon is part of that. The Antoon would have been translated as the royal we. The royal we. But it was pointed out as the you. In other words, when we are walking with others that do not know that they are Anana, We see them as the royal we. That was a code for us, because there's many that are still going to be feeling that they're walking in this separation, this illusion of separation. And when we begin to see everyone that is outside of us as the royal we will stop judging to say that there is not one that is not of royalty's lineage of line. Does that make sense? Every single person you come in contact with is the Antoon. The root of this word is Natan, and it means to give. The Aleph has been added on the front of it. The Aleph continuously gives to the royal we, because that's what nobility does. It gives graciously to the royal we. And when we begin seeing that, we can prophesy, we can declare that abundance is of the royal we. We have put ourselves in the deficit in lack by believing that we are the ego, but we declare the Antoon, the Antoon. The Aleph is constantly giving to the Antoon. Constantly. The Aleph knows nothing else but to give. And Anana embodies it 4 times over. The Quadrated embody the fullness of the Aleph, and therefore they give lavishly to the Antoon, the royal we that hasn't become Anana yet, because they forgot. They wandered. They were led astray by the ego. Nobody else led them astray. Their own ego led themselves astray because they forgot who they were. They forgot they were Anana. Never forget who you are. Luke 24:36. And while they were discussing or discoursing, Yeshua stood among them and said to them, "Peace be with you. I am, fear not." Fear not. Didn't say don't fear. It said fear not. Because it is the not that causes us to fear. That which we are not is the root and the cause of fear. Anana casts out all fear, because this is the perfection and the maturation of love. Returning to the first love is returning to Anana. Inside, you as your absolute self, you as your divine declaration without the ego. I'm not saying that we're like killing the ego at this point. What I'm saying that this place, this day and time that we live in right now, folks, the royal we, as us as we, as one, the ego is coming face to face with the master. And the ego is bowing in reverence to the master so that the two can be unified as one. They share the same table. This is what Ken has been saying for a while. They sit at the same table and they serve one another, because Anana constantly gives. The egoic self receives, but when it understands who Anana is, it bows itself to Anana. It allows itself to be used by Anana. The ego steps out of the way. The ego is an expression of the Anana, an individual, unique expression of Anana. We don't kill it. We don't kill it. It's a unique expression of Anana.
It's assimilated.
Yes, Ken just said it. He just came out of the room. He said it's assimilated. It is now integrated. Every single one of us have walked in dual personalities. And here I thought I was like this strange one, because I had 6 running around in this avatar with multiple personalities. We all have Anana and the ego. Guess what? We've just now entered into the green light go, where the ego can bow and can assimilate into Anana, and they can be fused as one. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is the ceasing of the warfare within our very self. Do you know what the unforgivable sin is, you guys? Or you want to share it?
No, go ahead. It doesn't, I was just going to open with that, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. We can say it redundancy for the purpose of saying, hearing it again.
Okay. Are you sure? Okay,
I don't,
because I know some of you may not want to sit all the way through Ken's meeting too. Maybe you will, because he's got some amazing stuff today too. But I know that I know people have to go on with their lives as well. The unforgivable, unpardonable sin is when you don't forgive your own ego, when you don't forgive the self. That's it. Because you never did anything wrong to begin with, because you're Anana. You went on an experiment trekking tour as a sojourner, and you wandered a little bit, and you might have erred because you thought you were something other than Anana. Anything that you haven't forgiven that is tied to the ego, forgive the freaking ego. It did not know what it did. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. In the ego doesn't know what it's doing. It's trying to find itself. The true self, Anana, and it's looking everywhere, and it's going to try everything because it's trying to find Anana.
it's just an immature child looking for its parents.
An immature child looking for its parents is one. That's exactly it. The word that ended up coming into our language as evil, Ein Vav Lamed, and it's transliterated literally as Evo, means a suckling child or a suckling babe. It's directly connected to the West. We travel east so we can be Adam Kadmon once again, but we had to go into the West when the sun set and entered into darkness and became a suckling babe. That's what evil is. A suckling babe that needs to grow up to become great, Gadol. Oh my gosh. Man, I am feeling this all over the place this morning.
That's the compass
I
thing.
just like want to get up and do a jig. Oh my gosh. I'm doing a jig on the inside of me anyway. I'm giving lots of stuff for Ken to open up as well when he shares. Now, look at this. This is so good. This was the whole point of what Yashua was trying to get. Behold my hands and my feet. That is I, Anana. And see, for a spirit hath not flesh and bones, as you see that I have. Anana is when we are fully human and fully spirit at the same time. When Anana embodies the body, it literally becomes immortal. It can't die. Why do you think the resurrection happened? Because that which was killed was the egoic avatar as Yashua. But Anana had already come online. You can't kill Anana. It can resurrect. Do you want to know the resurrection is actually called the consolation? The consolation prize is resurrecting again in a body form in this level, in this lower density. That's the consolation. But it had to be walked out for people to understand that Anana is the embodiment of the complete self, the true self that is within an avatar body that cannot be killed. Ishu, the ego, allowed itself to be killed so Anana could be seen. Oh my gosh, I hope you guys are connecting to this. I might be having a hard time with my words trying to bring this forward, and you might be going, what the hell is she talking about? Trying to free the mind, the same thing that Morpheus was trying to do with Neo. I'm trying to free your mind. And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not the Mashika. This is very interesting. We're moving into the book of John now, which is actually a lot of historical evidence that this was written by Miriam Magdala, Mary the Magdalene, which is an anointing in of itself, by the way, folks. It's an anointing, just like the Christ is anointing, the Mashiach is anointing, the Magdala is anointing. There's two of them that need to unify as one. Anana Mashika. It's very interesting. You guys would not see this. You would not see this. Lo, many times the word not is written as Lamed Aleph. In that verse, it was written as Dalet Lamed Vav. Dalet Lamed is a word that means ill, weak, feeble, something disconnecting. The translators took this word and they translated it as no. We translated it as no. What this was saying, John understood, Miriam understood that she was the Mashika because she connected to it. There was no low. I, in my human form as an ego, is connected to the Mashika. I, when I'm in my ego, am ill, weak, and feeble. How many of you guys remember me talking about the Lamed Vavniks? The Lamed Vavniks? I've mentioned it several times. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, please go research that. Please go and research that. I have a whole teaching on Patreon here about the Lamed Vavniks. The door to becoming a Lamed Vavnik is the one that must be gone through humility. It is fear and pride that keeps us from the door. It is fear and pride that keeps us from Anana. She wasn't saying that she wasn't. She was a witness of the light that had come, and she herself had become it. And she was writing to us how to get there. You have to go through the Dalet. Dalet is the number 4. Dalet means you have to be quadrated. Aleph, Noon, Aleph, Aleph, Noon, Aleph, Anana, the quadrated ones. But the translator said, oh, I am not that. I bore witness to it. Yes, she bore witness to it because she was it. She took the torch after Yeshua did what he did. I have to demonstrate the power of Anana. They can kill this body, but this body in this true sense cannot be killed. He had to demonstrate that. And then because she was embodying it as well, she walked out the rest of the message. But there was a little something that was caught up in her that she got left behind because she wanted to go. But she got left behind. And that was something that she had to continually work through. But she had fully embodied that, and her mission had to go on because he had become the stumbling block. Because without her, you cannot become Anana. Anana is the Christ and the Magdalene. The word Mashika has an aleph on the end. The reason why many will not see this movement, and they're going to have some cognitive dissonance when this fully continues to embody out here, because this is a new day. This is green light go. This is the first day that we're going to be walking out for the next decade. It is here. It is here. It is now. It is us. It is we. It is here. It is here. Many will have a hard time with this message because they are looking for the Mashiach, not the Mashika. So the first time this anointing came around was for that patriarchy to begin to see that there was this brotherhood. It's Meshiach, the drawing out of the brotherhood. But there's a sisterhood. So they can unite into the Banot, the sons who are the daughters. Without the Magdalene, the Mashika cannot be all it's supposed to be. Mashiach can't arise to its full stature. But without the Mashiach, the Magdalene can't either. They have to come as one, Anana. I am Christ, I am Magdalene. It's Anana. The mind and the heart in coherence now. Are you guys following me? The two eyes that reside within. That's a big one. This verse is a big one. But Yeshua himself said to them, I am, fear not. Again, same time when things are going on and there's chaos, when there's fear that enters in, you simply say Anana. John 6:35, I am the bread of life. Yeshua wasn't the bread of life. Anana is the bread of life. Right? But the way it was written, as we wrote it as translators, we thought it said that he was the bread of life. Anana is the bread of life. Yeshua was just the messenger. Yeshua was just the malakah, an angel messenger, bringing forth the teachings through Anana. Again, I am the bread of life. Lachma. The kaya. Very interesting that this word kaya could have been translated as salvation. Anana is the bread of salvation. What is salvation then? Oh, we'll get there. I put 650 in here too, because when you guys, if you're going to look at these notes, you can see this is just like a contiguous thought. But it moves into 651. I am Anana, the bread of life that from heaven has descended. Interesting. Look at this word for descend. It's nakta. Remember the Anachna that we shared about before, the Anachna, the collective consciousness, and it had the word Noach, the first two letters right here. I am the rest that has come down, and it has two tavs added to it. Please, if you're taking notes, I want you to write down two tavs. And then if I haven't mentioned it at the end, I want you to ask me about it, because this is very important. If I haven't mentioned it by the time we are done, ask me about the twin tavs that came down, because it's all connected. Yeah, we're going further here. I gotta hurry up my bus a little bit. John 8:18, translated as, I am one who testifieth of myself, and my Father who sent me testifieth also of me. Guess what? They added words. Anana is the witness that has a testimony of the I, within the I. And my Father, Abi, who sent me, testifies. Here's the word, says of me, but this says testifies of the power of ascension, to go up. Anana is what causes you to move into the land of up, out of the land of naught. It is Anana. John 8:24, I said to you that you will die in your sins, for if you believe not that I am, you will die in your sins. This was such a crap translation. We did not do a good job on this verse. What dies? What is sin? Sin is when you wrestle with the fact that you separated from the one. Let me say that again. The only sin. Of course, theology will say that it's a whole lot of other garbage that is not, because we could not comprehend Anana. We could not comprehend it until now. Sin, het, tet, aleph. Het means to be separated. Tet is the letter that means to wrestle with the snake in the basket. The snake is the seraphim message. The basket is this that houses Anana. And we wrestle and we separate from the aleph. That's what sin is. What dies? Sin. The thought that you were ever separated from the one. Halevad, you see how big that is? So if you want to stay in sin means that you're going to choose to live your separated life out as your ego. And you will die in your ego. because only Anana is life. Anana is salvation. I have to keep dropping it down a notch because I have to breathe out because there's lots of bubbly coming up right now, and I really don't want to explode out this avatar. I don't want to blow it out. So I have to keep breathing through this. My gosh, it's so incredible. Yeshua said to them again, when you have lifted up the Son of Man, then you shall know that Anana, you shall know Anana, and nothing from myself I do, but as the Father hath taught me to speak. Okay, segue. I haven't talked much about this form before, the Mem'lel. This is important. Mem'lel in of itself means word or speak, cause, case. Like there's a cause, there's a case. There's a case that is put before us that we need to solve. So as the sleuths, as the detectives, we've been looking for our answer. When we see the word Mem'lel, so amazing to see this. Because Mem'lamed is the single form. But it's encased in the word. It's the word within the word. What does that mean? If somebody is speaking from Mem'lel, it's Anana that is doing the speaking. What does that mean? The vibrations, when somebody is having a discourse, when somebody is communicating from Anana, they are speaking words within words. You can see this many ways. You can see Anana speaking in riddles or in parables, trying to get people to get out of the egoic mind and get into their Christed mind so their heart, the Magdalene, can come online, so Anana can come online. Mem'lel are words that are spoken from an inward knowing that will confound and disrupt the egoic mind that is trying to keep itself within the egoic avatar through all of its industrious indoctrination of that which they have learned to shore up the friggin' ego. But make no mistake, it is Anana that is speaking. If some of you have a hard time with the way my husband speaks because you think he speaks in riddles, he does, because he's speaking from Mem'lel. He's trying to get and bypass the egoic mind to get the Christ mind online. And when the Christ mind comes online, you can start hearing him. Because the Christ mind, when it speaks Mem'lel, is bypassing and speaking to the heart. Many of you have said, man, I don't know what Ken's saying, but man, I feel it right here. I feel it in my heart. That is Mem'lel. That is Anana using something to bypass the mind to speak directly to your heart. That is Mem'lel. Some said it is he, and some said it is not, but one like him. But he said, I am he. The word I am is Anana here. He means he, she, it is. It's right here. Hey Vav Aleph. He, she, it is. And Hey Vav, many times you'll just see it written as who. Hey Vav. And it's kind of funny because we'll say who? Because it hasn't been fully defined. It's like what fully defines it is the Aleph. It, what is it? What is he? What is her? Anana. Who am I? Anana. Why am I here? To share Anana. The question we have all been asking, who are we and why are we here? To do the will of Abi, the one who builds in the power of Anana, bringing the message of Anana. That's who we are. That's why we're here. That's what we are to do. Turn. This word Hey Vav Aleph, meaning to turn the ego, the he and the she and the it to the Anana. That's the great work. That's it. In a nutshell, become Anana. Remember who you are. Yeshua said to them again, Amen, amen, I say to you, Anana is the gate or the door of the sheep. Anana, translated as I am. We think that it was Yashua the man. No, that's not the gate to the sheep. Anana is. It is not the man, avatar, Yashua. It's Anana, which is the anointing. And those who have come were thieves and robbers, but the flock heard them not. Of course, the flock's not going to hear them. They only hear the voice of Anana. Anana is the gate. Anana is the door. You remember before where I said the Dalet in front of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all those verses ago? The door, the Dalet. The door that moves us into Anana. If you stand on the outside and you don't go through it, you won't have the revealing of who Anana is, because your pride in the ego and fear will keep you from humbling yourself to move into I am Anana. Now this is interesting. John 10:11. I'm the good shepherd, and the good shepherd his life layeth down. Nope. We as translators decided to put lay it down because it sounds like Jesus died for us. Nope. The good shepherd is Anana. And the good shepherd puts in place the transformation that changes us and alters us. It's the word chalaf. This is the same exact word that is used in the Mount of Transfiguration. He was changed. It is the same word that is used at the trumpet's blast. In a twinkling of an eye, we shall all be changed. Chalaf, changed, altered, and transmuted. The change in the altar and the transmuting, you guys, comes from within, in when Anana gets online and your etheric spiritual self fusing itself within the avatar body that then goes beyond the avatar body. That is the altering and the changing and the transmuting, is when Anana comes online and your sphere of influence moves past your egoic body. Way past that 6-foot thing that they did with COVID. There was something that was happening with that first push of the corona crown virus, because this energy was coming in and those outside of us trying to control this, because they can only operate as a separated self-egoic they in this dimension, in the land of naught, did not want us coming online, because there were those of us that were already beginning to embody this frequency. And when you embody this frequency, your shadow, funny that they would use this word shadow, will go and heal and set captives free and turn on their Anana. Why do you think they were trying to keep us all away from each other? Not going to fall for it this time. Because it's not fear that rules my life anymore. Anana does. Moving past. God, I got 15 minutes. I am the good shepherd and know my own, and I am known of my own. It's an amazing verse to take a look at. Anana, the good shepherd. Now I tell you before it shall be, that when it is done, you may believe. What is done? When you become Anana, all is finished. And you will believe. When Anana comes online on you, you will believe. When you see others walking as Anana again, you will believe, because you will see it, you will feel it, you will experience it, and they will help bring you online. John 14:16, Yeshua said to him, I am the way, the truth, the life. No man comes unto my Father unless by me. Wasn't through Yeshua, it was through Anana. Anana is the way. Anana is the truth. And Anana is salvation. Again, that word for chaya, they translated it as life. It's the word for salvation. I am Anana, the true vine, the vine of truth, and my Father is the husbandman. Look at this. there's that word palach, which is the opposite order of chalaf. And it means soldier, warrior, and worshiper, and also husbandman. Interesting. The soldier of fortune. How many of you have heard Ken's teaching that he did not too long about the soldiers of fortune? Right here, the husbandman. The vine dressers. Yeshua in John 15:5 says, Anana, the vine, and you the branches, who abides in me, not Yeshua, who abides in Anana. And when Yeshua had said to him, I am. Okay, this is an interesting one, folks. This is the one that I was like, oh my gosh. How many of you in this account always wondered when Yeshua said to them, I am, and they went backwards and fell upon the ground? Some of you don't know the gospel message. You wouldn't even know this verse if you don't know the verses in English, which is fine, because really it's an indoctrination that I'm trying to help sweep out today. He said, Anana, go back to the fall. Go back to the fall. So they wrote that everybody fell backwards. Anana said, go back to the fall. The fall is when we would believe that we were something that we were not, in the land of not, so we could experience separation. The land of not is when we believed that we were the ego, that we were separate. That was the only fall. There was no apple eating, and then Eve gave the apple to Adam and they ate it. And then we had the sin. Again, I define for you what sin is. Sin is believing that you are separate from the absolute, from the one, and you're going to wrestle with it. That is the only sin. So the fall, he said, go back to the fall. Go back to the fall. He was telling them the truth. The way and salvation is Anana. Please say you guys are getting this. Some of you are like looking like glazed donuts, not quite getting it. Some of you are. If I need to say something different, please, I'll find a different way to word things. Yeshua asked them again, whom do you seek? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. And Yeshua said, I have told you that I am. I have told you, Anana. And if me you seek, let these go. Oh my gosh, there's so much here. I just can't.
It shouldn't end on death.
I will. Going into John 18. Yeshua said to him, thou hast said that I am king, for this I am born. Oh my gosh, Anana is born. Aleph Lamed Dalet, Yod Lamed Dalet. Yod Lamed Dalet is a word that means to beget or to be born. Yod is the same thing as the Aleph. God delivered. Anana is born into this egoic avatar. God is delivered and puts on a flesh suit to find himself, herself, itself, Anana. This is why Anana was born into the avatar called Yeshua, to teach the way, because we wandered, we strayed, we had some error thinking that we were something that we were not. The original sin was believing that we were not God. Anana. Now, I think there's one more here that I want to go before the book of Revelations. Acts 7:32. This is the only time outside of the Gospels, the book of Acts, where it's mentioned. I am the God of my fathers, the God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob. And Moses, trembling, dared not look upon the sight. Anana. Anana aloa. This is a great verse to look at. I'm not doing it today, but it's great. There's a lot said. Now we move into Revelations 2:23. Anana is mentioned only twice in the book of Revelation. Again, Anana is used all over the place in the book of John. John was Miriam Magdala that wrote the book. She also wrote the book of Revelation, and she mentioned Anana in here. And Ken wants me to end on death. And I'm going to read this verse to you so you can hear it. And her sons will I kill with death. And all the churches shall know that I am he who searcheth the reins and the hearts, and I will give to you everyone according to your works. I spoke on Wednesday and it was a heavy message. Some of you talked to me later that it was a heavy message, but it was really good because it was about the harvest, because we are in the harvest season, make no mistake. But the harvest season, it's the word zaban, which means the harvest opportunity. It's a season in time. You can call it season, but the word could have been translated as an opportunity is presenting itself. Anana is presenting an opportunity in a season of time to be able to deal with the egoic self, to walk in chaya, in salvation. This is truly the gospel message. What I find most interesting on this, and we're going to move into one more. I did mention death, so you can go off of there. I am the root of the offspring of David as the bright and morning star. I, Yeshua, have sent mine angel. Interesting. Ishu. Oh, please connect to this. Oh my God. Anana sent the messenger angel named Yashua to testify about Anana. The bright morning star, who was also the evening star. Did not the morning star and the evening star, did they not just switch places? Guess what we saw this morning when we went upon the hill? The bright morning star of Anana has risen. In the east, Adam Kadmon, the template of who we are in our actual state of being as Anana, has risen. Haliva has risen indeed, and that bright and morning star. So I'm going to end on this. Let's get to Olivia. Oh
Olivia, not again. Careful.
I was going to write a T and I need to write a top. I told you guys to remind me of this and I just remember, so you don't have to remind me about this. Starting to bubble up too much. The Aleph got blown out. The upper yod, those of you who followed my Aleph teaching, I went all into detail on this. The upper yod and the lower yod, one is Hillel and one is Lila. Lila turned into Lilith. The Magdalene got turned into Lilith, and I really want you to comprehend this. In the book of John, chapter 7, there's the first 12 verses are not in the Peshitta. They're not in the Peshitta at all. And it's the segment where it said the adulterous woman was brought out before the accusers. That was never in the original text because they had to paint the Magdala as a harlot and a whore. Lila, as Magdalene, became Lilith. All of this pure and innocent, beautiful energy that would be called chaos, just unformed matter, which is love. was told that she was a harlot. And we have all shame and guilted our emotional, creative side. And we have put it on herself and ourselves because Eve is the one that screwed it all up. Nope. No, that is not the case. The ego did. For the sake of expression of unique experiences of Anana. So where are we right now? Where are the accusers? There is none. I'm Anana. I am pure and innocent. There is nothing that I have ever done that has ever been wrong because this place isn't real. It's called the land called not. Anana, the true being of who I am, has never done anything wrong. I went on a voyage. I did a whole lot of experimenting with the energies. I created a lot and I destroyed a lot. I was amazingly good and I was amazingly evil, but dark am I yet lovely. 2 covenants came. One was of Hillel and one was of Lila. One was of the mind and one was of the heart. The 2 came to covenant with themselves, and it was called the covenant of fire. Barashit, the very first word, the covenant of fire, where the 2 would become one in the etheric side, encased in the covenant that would then put on a flesh avatar. The covenant of peace was broken. And the covenant of peace, if you remember the story of Phineas, in zealousness, we thought that we were doing something. What did Phineas do? If you guys know the story, he stopped a plague, right? He stopped a plague. I'm not going to go into that because that's what Ken's going to go into next. But the covenant of peace was broken, waiting for the day for it to unify again. The Tovs, the covenant of Hillel and Lila, is so that we can complete our journey with the Christ mind and complete our journey of the Magdalene heart. So the 2 shall become one, where no man can separate, because you are not man, you're not an egoic self, you're Anana. It's impossible to separate Anana when it comes online, because that is it. Anana is it, is the way, is the truth, is the life, and nothing can stand before it and call it not, because it is the only thing that is. Anana is the only thing that is. You are, I am, as the royal we, Anana. And the bride knows this, because the woman who rides the beast in the book of Revelation is this. Antha. Anna is on the outside and the 2 covenants are on the inside. And guess what she was called? The whore of Babylon. Do you see how this has been perpetuated? The Antha is the royal we in the pure and innocent stage as a Nana that have taken both covenants and have brought them in the inside, that is riding upon the beast. The egoic flesh that is turned into the Kayutha, the living that have connected into the sacred chamber of the heart, the Ta, where they join together during the Feast of Sukkot and come out on the 8th day as a new creation, as a Nana. There's one more thing that I wanted to share, and it kind of left me for a moment because I'm sitting in the truth of all this and I'm trembling. My egoic avatar is trembling at the sound of the voice of Anana, because it's clear and it's true. I know it was an important point, but it's 10 o'clock and I need to stop. I will end on this, and then Morgan, you can say something in a minute, and then we'll have to close down and open up to the next meeting in case people didn't join in on this one. Whenever you guys see a tav added on the front, so I'm gonna, for those of you who have been working with the language, whenever you see something on the prefix of a word, is talking about the Christ mind. This was the part of the revelation that I didn't see until yesterday, because I wasn't able to see it until now. I talked about mother, and I talked about father, and I talked about the masculine energy and the feminine energy, and the part that I was missing. Because now we can see it. Now we can see the purpose of the Magdalene, and we can see the purpose of the Mashiach coming together as Mashika. And when they unify, they become the Ruka Dekucha on the inside. The body then hosts the Ruka Dekucha, and the two shall never be separated again. You literally are the fullness of the spirit that is in the avatar body as Ruka Dekucha. That is Anana, that has fully come online. Anything added to a prefix of a word is talking about the Christ mind. Anything on the suffix of a word is talking about the Magdalene heart. Anything that is in the center of the word that is added in the center is Anana.